Welcome back everyone to the Axial Ryft scaled out build. We are on video number 5 today and we have a whole bunch of cool stuff to go over, so let's hit it right now. I can't tell you how long it's been since we finally got this guy in. We ordered this guy a long time ago, and I think you might remember from video number 4 we were trying to get the seat in the buggy, and to know what the seat had to be, we had to know what the driver was. And thanks very much for Dana for picking this up with his other order. And so now we've actually got a guy to drive this buggy, and we're going to go through the seat design and a couple of different features on the seats that we decided to put into this. And then we've done some electronics cleanup, and so we'll finally be able to look at that today. And we're going to have a look at the seat first. So let's do that. You can see here top down, we have a seat sitting in here. I'm going to give you a bit of a close-up on what that looks like. This seat actually just comes right out. For now, there's 2 screw holes that were designed into it here at the back. And you can see it's all cut out funny there. And that was important because the way that this has to bolt on, there's the 2 holes right there. The way that this bolts on is actually underneath the 2 mounting tabs that you see right here on the back of the buggy cage. So we first started off with a basic seat. This is a typical race seat. I mean, not very complicated design. And really glad to have a really cool seat design. The trouble with this seat design was that it was a little bit too tall, too wide, too much base on the bottom. And so, of course, thanks to 3D printing and scaling, it's really easy to fix this stuff. And then we got to something like this, where I now had the mounting pad on the back. The mounting pad was okay, not perfect. And I cut out a great big hole in the bottom here so that the the upper link mount would actually fit through it. I'll show you that in a minute. And so that's sort of, you end up designing those things by hacking up a seat, you know. So this thing got completely hacked to death just to find out where it would have to go, and then resized yet again. And we ended up with this. This is basically the perfect seat now. Really, really happy with this. And it's just a nice race seat design. Very simple. The good news about it is the dude fits in here just perfectly now. So what we've got is a seat that fits the guy. And it fits the guy with his feet down. That's kind of important because he'll probably end up sitting a lot closer to that, but he needs to have like his knees off the seat, you know, like you would in a regular buggy. I want him to sit all the way back. I wanted him to have some head support, and so I also wanted the seat. Ah, shoot! Let me turn that thing off. I guess that's hashtag shop life. So I wanted to have the seat basically to fit his shoulders really well, without being too wide sticking out, and without kind of pinching him so that he was sort of stuck ahead of the seat. You know, I wanted him to sit right back in the seat with his shoulders down. So I could just manipulate the proportions on the CAD file in the printing to do that. So there we go. And it mounts on here. Let me show you the tabs where this actually bolts onto here on the back of the buggy. And we'll take a look at that now. I'm going to stick those right up to the camera. So there's one right there, a great big tab. And then we're using this screw hole here in that center tab. So these 2 here. And you can see on that side is where the battery goes over there. So I don't want any seat over there, but I do need the seat to fit over this shock, or I keep calling it a shock mount, to fit over this upper link mount here. Let me show you where that is. So upper link mount right there, and it's high. I don't know where people are going to set that. So instead of actually, you know, chopping it off, you might want to use that top hole there for something. So if you did, then I thought, well, heck, why don't we just cut a hole in the bottom of the seat? And so the seat fits over top of that shock mount, just like that. It kind of links into those two holes at the back here. Kind of clips in there. And then it sits right on the shock mount. And we're going to install that now. The holes are actually set up for M2. So an M2 by 12 or M2 by 10 screw is more than enough. And you can just put that right in there. We'll get that thing cranked down. Now the hole was used for an M3 in its previous life, and that doesn't matter because it's already a nice size hole for the M2 screw. So we're not going to change that. We're just simply going to put the M2 screw right in there, and then it's going to be attached basically forever. And I love this. I love that. I'll tell you why, because you don't need to take this out pretty much ever. There's really no need to do that. So I'm gonna just get that finally down into the bottom here. Maybe my screws are too long. I think a 10 millimeter is probably more than enough, to be honest. That's a lot of little threads. And there's the seat in. It's got a nice low profile. You basically can't see it. I mean, it's really just an actual race seat and that's it. So really cool, like super slick little seat in there. If you wanted to, you could do a foam liner on it or something like that, you know. Now, I will remind you guys that anything that we're designing and printing for this project will be available in the file suite on our Patreon GCM Racing account. On the builders group, all the guys over there get all the files that we've ever designed, and we also produce new files to help out guys with body mounts and battery trays and stuff like that. So there's actually a surprising amount of stuff on there that you can do from home. And all of this, of course, will be on that. So we have the file for this basic seat, which will go up on the suite as well on the patreon.com/gcmracing. The builders group will get this so that they can adjust this and do it something else with it, put it somewhere else. And also the actual Ryft specific stuff will go on there. This, by the way, if you're wondering what this is dangling around for, this is actually the green, orange, and red indicator for the inclinometer that we're going to take a look at next. I have all that wired up, but I don't know where to put this yet. That's the problem I'm having right now. So what I'd really like to do is be able to put this someplace where it doesn't interfere with the FPV camera. I don't really want it shining right in the camera, and because I don't have the camera installed yet, I don't know where to put this light. I'm going to do that at the end. I think I'm probably going to end up putting it on the dash, like on a pod on the dash, a little separate printed pod, and then I can actually glue it in an angle that doesn't interfere with the FPV camera. I think that's probably the best solution for now. But anyways, most of the wiring is in. I'm going to switch the cameras around so you guys can actually see the electronics. I'll turn it on and you can see how it works. It's super rad. So let's take a look at that now. Alright, we're going to get this thing turned on here. Turn on the transmitter. And we'll plug this in here. Alright. Now what we're going to look for here is the dash unit and the inclinometer, alright? There's a button on the bottom here to turn this thing on. This is so cool. Okay. Now that light that I was showing you earlier is green right now. I'll stick that over here so you can watch that thing while we're doing this little exercise. Alright, now throttle first. So You can see in there, you can watch the throttle rise. So that, because this is that Hobbywing censored brushless, there's going to be a really clear correlation between your actual driving speed and whatever that speedometer is showing. It's pretty impressive, man. I wonder if I can get that focused in like perfect. Alright, now the inclinometer, as you can see, I haven't screwed that on yet or mounted it or any way because I'm not actually done with this final print. But I want you to see what happens when you start to incline this truck. You can see that on the dash, the rollometer is actually tilting. If I tilt it down in the front, or I tilt it down in the back, we can, as we move, that all twists around. Now, if you get it really far, I'll lift it up at the back so you can actually watch this light, and then you might be able to still see that. If we tip this right over, eventually what happens is you get to a point where the light starts to change colors. You see that? We're green, now we're yellow, and then it'll go to red. And it says rollover and flashes red. Really cool. Really, really, really cool. Such a cool piece of technology right there. Anyway, really happy to have that. This is probably the neatest thing. And I think that stuff will all show up really well in the FPV. You'll definitely get a really good idea of what the angle of the truck is while you're riding on the FPV, and you'll definitely know how fast you're going. And both of those are really important because if the truck's far away, you won't be able to tell. So, this, not sure where to put that yet. It's conceivable that is the coolest thing I have ever put into an RC car. I am so pumped that Scale Built was willing to work with me on that and get this put together. I know that he's got this, all of the files and stuff to do one of these. If you contact him and you want to do the exact same with the GCM and all that stuff on it, he's got all those files. He can produce another center dashboard like that for you if you're interested. And we'll just communicate so that we know where all the files are going, and if that's something you're interested in, I'm sure he'd be happy to build you one. He's really cool guy, and quality stuff. Now, obviously there's tons more to do on this. We can't pack it all into a one video, so stay tuned for number 6 coming soon, and we're going to have a whole bunch of this stuff tidied up and try to get the rest of the interior work finished off in the next one. So we really hope to see you there. Thanks for watching, and happy trucking.